Hey guys, it's Juanita Coley, the Contact Center Whisperer, and I'm sitting here at CCW with the amazing Andy Dignan. He's the Chief Customer Officer over at 5 9. So, Andy, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me.
Absolutely. It's
So,
been a couple
y'all,
weeks since we were in Porto
I know
together.
we were in Porto a couple weeks ago, and you were running, running, running. I was running, running, running. I feel like we got to make up a reason to get back to
Yes,
Porto.
we will. We will.
We'll get back there.
Yes.
I'm super excited to sit down with you as a customer officer at 5 9. It's customers are our business. If we don't have customers, we don't have a business.
Right.
I think
Right.
it's one of the things that as a CEO, I'm always thinking of.
Hmm.
Hey, customers, customers, customer experience, right?
Right.
So I'm super excited to dig into this talk with you. But before we do, let's get to know a little bit more. You
Yeah.
just were telling me a little bit about you just recently lost some weight. Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Now I'm closer to 50 than I am 40 now. Just had my birthday a couple weeks ago.
Happy
And
belated.
thank you. And two daughters, 14 and 12. My lovely wife. And I said, you know what? I'm not on a path to health. And I said that was really the trigger for me. And so coming out of the pandemic, a lot of good food was had. And I said
Yeah,
it's time to get back into it. And so I started about back in February. And yeah, feeling good, feeling great, and more energy to deal with all of our customers. Right.
exactly.
So
Like it's so important that, so I lost over 100 pounds. I'm
yeah,
not sure if you know
yeah.
that or
You told
not.
me that's unbleivable.
And it's
You
along
look
almost,
fabulous, by the
thank you. I try to do what I can for the people.
way.
It's almost like a rebirth when you lose that kind of weight. Also, I think it's also a self care thing that happens
Yeah,
where you're a better version of you.
yeah,
So
I
you can
agree
really
with that.
now then serve others at a higher level.
Yeah, agree with that.
You know,
Yeah,
how did you do it?
yeah, I did so keto and intermittent fasting
Okay,
and exercising. That was
okay,
pretty, and I'm a pretty intense person, so I'm either 110% or
yeah,
zero.
yeah,
So when I'm zero, I just eat a lot of food and put it on, and then
yeah,
when I go all in, so I went all in. The key now is the maintenance. That's always the hardest part. So
absolutely.
if you give me any advice for that, I'll take it.
It's lifestyle,
Yeah,
like I think you always have to be obsessed. Like I'm obsessive. I'm an obsessive person in
right.
career, personal life, and everything. And so it's like you said, when you start to do something, it's like, okay, I'm gonna commit to this, I'm gonna do it, I'm
Right,
gonna get it
right.
done, whether that's career, personal life, faith, whatever.
Yeah,
But when it comes to balance and maintaining, you have to understand that, we say this all the time, Rome wasn't built in a day. So you
yeah,
have all these, you have life that's happening.
yeah,
And so there's
yeah,
seasons
yeah.
that's happening. And so I just try to balance,
Yeah, that's good.
you
And
know?
like being in Vegas, it's hard to be perfect in Vegas. There's so much
Yeah.
good food here.
But you don't
Yeah,
have to be perfect. You have to
yeah,
be consistent,
yeah, that's good. I like it. All right.
right? I don't have to be perfect. I just need to be consistent, right? Okay, so let me see. Where do I want to start? Because I've been waiting. Okay, I've been waiting for this interview. Andy,
Yeah,
when you think of, in your role being chief customer officer, what is your primary focus?
yeah. So, look, at the end of the day, I mean, we've both been in the space for 23 years. You just mentioned previously. I started out pretty much day one as a implementer of contact centers.
Okay.
Other than a slight little jaunt in the dot-com era at a company that went out of business like within 3 months, I said,
Mm.
what am I going to do now? My partner, my roommate, and was in my wedding, worked at a Cisco partner, and said, hey, Cisco acquired this company, Geotel, Celsius, which is where call manager came from. Say, hey, why don't you go interview for a job? Got the job, and literally within weeks, I was getting trained on contact center, and I'm going, watching in real time how calls get routed, and I'm like, this is very, very interesting to me.
Yeah.
And then, so started down that path. And actually, the thing that I fell in love with the most, I think I told this story in Porto, was my first implementation of a contact center. I would sit down, and it was, I didn't work in a contact center. So just sitting on the floor, sitting with agents, because I'd always called into a contact center. I'm like, wow, I get to impact these agents and what they do. It just kind of, something triggered, right, in my
Mm-hmm.
mind. And the number one thing for me was sitting down, and I would actually listen to the contact center agent's calls,
Mm.
and I would watch that how many clicks it took on the keyboard or the mouse, and I would just do a little tick, like you'd 1 2 3 4 with the check mark through,
Yep. Yep.
and I would go, okay, this took 21 clicks. How can I get that down to like 10?
Mm.
And so that the thing that
That
was,
process improvement.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just again, and you could get that immediate feedback. The agents were like, you can make my life easier.
Yeah.
And then I saw happier agents, and I mentioned this on stage yesterday. Happier agents is happier customers, right? Like happy wife, happy life, right? Same
Yes.
kind of thing.
Same thing.
And so that's where I just fell in love. And from there, I just never left the contact center space. And I think there's something very special about the contact center space that as a vendor, right, as a software provider, you have the end customer that you deal with, our end customer, but you're impacting their end customer. That's the
Right.
real thing you're trying to do,
Right.
which is, I think, it's a really unique space. So I just love the space.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you said that, because as a vendor or a supplier, exactly right, right? You are impacting your customer, who's actually you're really impacting their
Right,
customer,
right,
right?
right.
And so you have to be very, I think, strategic and
Mm-hmm.
methodical
Mm-hmm.
on that approach.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have I'm just interested now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting in your secret sauce. Do you have a methodology when it comes to like um, customer success or
Yeah.
customer experience?
Yeah, I mean, so what we call it at Five9, we call it our day one to forever, right?
Mm.
And in the subscription software space, we have to earn this business every day. So it's not, I mean, every company has a customer success or an implementation methodology, and you have your different phases, right? Design, discovery, and we have all those pretty slides that talk about that.
Right.
But one of the things we really believe in is that the people that are going to be working with this customer forever, we engage them from the beginning, right? So we have our implementation team, our professional services organization, but then we have our technical account managers, our support teams, what we call hypercare. We engage those resources very early in the process because there's a lot of things that you learn about the customer and their customers early on that you can't make up that ground. You can't go back in time. So I think that's one of our secret sauces, that we engage those resources early. Obviously, they sort of kind of fade away and then come back towards the end, but really building that kind of camaraderie with the customer from day one is really, again, our key.
I love that you said that, because we have an internal in Solid Rock. We have an internal thing that we say is, we like to earn the business.
Yeah.
Right. Like we love to earn. We love when that light bulb moment goes off. We love when the customer is like, yeah, no, we want to work with you because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Because it just creates that kind of stickiness.
It does.
Right.
It does.
What's one thing? And these are supposed to be quick, right?
Yeah,
but I feel like I'm always like trying to dig deeper.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you wish people asked you about your role or what you do that people generally don't ask, and you're like, that would be good information to get out?
Oh, that's good. Well, it's funny. I don't know if you have the same problem. When people ask me what I do, or like ask even my kids and my wife, like they can't explain what we do. It's very interesting to me. But I always make the connection. What I do is I tell use cases, right? And hey, have you ever called into customer X, right? That's going to the Five9 platform, right? So, but anyway, back to the original question is, something about my job. I mean, at the end of the day, the thing that I wish people asked about is, how do I measure success? And there's a lot of ways to measure it. There's KPIs like NPS scores, which we have market leading NPS scores. We talk about it a lot. There's customer effort score. There's CSAT. But the thing that is my KPI is, yesterday I met with a brand new customer. They got here. They just went live like a week ago. And I was like, oh, this is great. So my team that led the implementation, I said, well, hey, what's like? Well, first off, how did it go, right? And they said, yeah, it just went flawlessly. And I said, was it the technology? And they said, no, it was the people. And I was like, oh, I just love to hear that. I wanted to record that. And so what they said is, I said, well, hey, the other question I like to ask is, why did you pick Five9? And they said, well, look, we looked at all your competitors, and the technologies, look, our competitors is plus or minus 10, 20%, right, from a technology perspective. And they said it was during the sales process, meeting with the people, the sales teams, the services teams that they're going to work with. They said they could just tell they loved working at the company. They loved their team, and it just kind of shone through, right? So it's, again, you can't put that in a stat, but I do believe that's one of the things that, and I get to lead those teams that do that every day. I love it. So.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Andy, for taking the time to get on the Getting to Know You series. I really, really appreciate you taking the time.
Looking forward to doing it again.
Absolutely.
In Porto.
Y'all heard that. All right. Until next time. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.